Summer had to face the facts. Motherhood was not what she had expected. Being a mother to a chick, and especially an emperor chick, was far more challenging than the whimsical life she was used to. Remember on a smaller island where penguin mothers always congregated to lay their eggs, she knew that was where he belonged. The journey was long, but she decided it was the right thing to do. She found a decent-sized iceberg, hopped on, and began to use her wings and oars, paddling her way toward her destination. The baby penguin, still reeling from the earlier fish debacle, gagged at a nearby stone with his tiny wet foot. The shame of causing his mother to inflate and deflate like a balloon was still fresh in his mind. He turned around to face the colony and his beak dropped open in horror. The other penguins were in a state of panic, squawking and running in all directions. Looking out into the water, he saw it. A black dorsal fin, sleek and menacing, slicing through the water, following the wake of Summer's iceberg. Instinct kicked in. He began to jump and squawk repeatedly, a high-pitched cry of alarm echoing across the ice. Summer, who was concentrating on her paddling, heard the frantic cries behind her and paused her rowing. She looked back at the colony, seeing the commotion, but her vision was limited. She looked from side to side, seeing nothing out of the ordinary in the water near her. Shrugging, she resumed her journey, paddling away with renewed vigor. The black dorsal fin followed silently, his sinister path hidden just behind her in the endless white of ice and water. Summer's paddling slowed as she paused to catch her breath. The calm blue of the water reflected the serene sky. Unseen behind her, a school of fish darted away in a panicked frenzy. The immense orca, the dark-sided predator whose dorsal fin had been tied to her, looked upward, his eyes glinting with a mischievous gleam. A dramatic, guttural sound, a truly evil laugh, escaped his blowhole in a burst of bubbles. With a sudden surge, he exposed himself directly in front of Summer. Summer squawked in surprise, stumbling backward off her iceberg. The orca followed her, his massive body moving with an agile, deadly grace. Summer hopped from the ice to the waterbed, narrowly avoiding the snapping jaws each time. On the shore, the baby penguin's alarm reached a fever pitch. He ran frantically from penguin to penguin, squeaking his silent pleas for help, but the others were frozen with fear. The chilling nickname, killer whale, echoed in their frightened minds, and they knew they were no match for such a creature. Seeing their inaction, a newer soul felt the baby penguin. He ground a small, sturdy club of ice in his beak, its handle set against his feathers, and he dove into the water. He began to swim across the surface, his prow forward in determination, his tiny body fueled by a fierce loyalty. Summer, in a desperate leap, jumped to another iceberg, but the orca was faster. He ducked his massive head and resurfaced on the other side, blocking her path. Placing his flippers on the bird, he effortlessly tilted it on its side. The ice shifted and grounded with the weight. Summer fell, narrowly avoiding the snapping teeth, climbed back up, and fell again, the orca toying with her. Below the surface, the baby penguin's eyes widened, his head hidden from view as he swam. He bumped into an ice rock, shook his head to clear his vision, and submerged himself completely. He was just a small fleshy chick with a piece of ice, but his mission was clear: save his mother. The orca, bored with his cruel game, grew impatient. His playfulness gave way to pure predator instinct, and he opened his massive jaws, preparing to swallow Summer whole. Summer, her heart pounded, had run out of ice floes to leap onto. She braced herself for the inevitable, closing her eyes in a gesture of resignation. Just as the orca lunged, a small gray projectile launched out of the water. The baby penguin, gripping the club of ice with both wings, swam with all his might and whacked the orca squarely on the nose. The orca, stunned, went cross-eyed. His eyelids drooped comically, and his eyeballs began to spin like pinwheels. The baby fell back into the water, and the club floated beside him. After a moment, the orca shook his head violently, clearing the dizziness. His gaze fell on the baby penguin in the floating club, and he finally pieced together what had happened. His eyes narrowed into an enraged glare, and he let out a high-pitched guttural squeal that made the baby tremble. The orca dove, disappearing into the depths. A chaotic underwater chase ensued. The orca, with his immense size and speed, pursued the tiny chick. The baby, no longer just a clumsy newborn, darted and weaved through the water, performing acrobatic maneuvers that belied his age. He used his small size to his advantage, swimming in tight circles and sharp zigzags, while the massive orca struggled to turn his body. The baby shot into small crevices between the ice sheets, forcing the orca to ram against the ice, his enraged squeals muffled by the water. On the shore, the other penguins had recognized the bravery of the tiny chick. The sight of such a small, defenseless penguin standing up to the menacing orca filled them with a collective fury. The white kid penguin gathered the crowd, whispering a series of urgent clicks and chirps. The penguins nodded in silent agreement and immediately scattered, each knowing their part in the plan. The Adelaide penguin, with the African penguin, who had crossed paths earlier, dove into the water, determined purpose in their eyes. The orca finally managed to flush the baby penguin out of his icy hiding spot, and the chase resumed to the open water. On the shore, the wise king penguin gently nudged the shaken summit to safety. He then squatted at the remaining penguins, and with a unified surge of anger, they dove into the water like a miniature army. Underwater, the chase reached its climax. The orca, with a burst of speed, finally caught up and swallowed the baby penguin whole. The African and Adelaide penguin, arriving at the sea, watched in horror. The African penguin, driven by instant fury, darted behind the unsuspecting orca and took a hard, painful bite on his tail. The orca, in immense pain, screamed out loud, giving the Adelaide penguin just enough time to act. He wedged the clump of ice from before into the orca's mouth, forcing it open. While the orca struggled to close his jaws, the Adelaide fearlessly swam inside. A moment later, he emerged, holding the unharmed baby penguin by the flipper in a reassuring grip. The orca's eyes widened in stunned surprise. Free from the ice club, he again pursued the escaping penguins. The baby penguin, saving the Adelaide's carrot, tapped his new rescuer on the shoulder and pointed, indicating the relentless orca. The Adelaide, spotting the pursuing predator, quickened their pace. The penguin army arrived in a furious mob-like formation and intercepted the orca. They attacked with a ferocity the orca had never experienced. Adelaide bit at his fins, rockhoppers pecked at his eyes, and king penguins wagged his hide with their powerful wings. The African and gentle penguins swarmed his face and tail, creating a chaotic, stinging cloud of angry feathers. The orca, accustomed to terrify penguins scattering and panic, was confused and disoriented by this collective angry assault. For the first time, he felt fear. However, he was still a killer whale. Driven by anger, the orca thrashed and bucked, fighting off the determined mob. With a final massive sweep of his tail, he scattered the penguins, sending them flying in all directions.